So, this is a Spirited Away adventure. So a few years ago, when I was a junior in high school, I decided to start an anime and gaming club with another friend of mine and Mr. Hammertree. Before I was a freshman here, the anime and gaming club was already here, but it kind of died off by the time I became a freshman, and I really wanted to start again. But freshman year, I wasn't really experiencing really anything, being new, and I was kind of scared to do it. So I ended up waiting 2 years so I can get used to the school, I get to know more people, and that way I could start it. And junior year, it kicked off. And now it's called We Blue Beasties. And that is one amazing club, and that's Hammertree. So ever since I was a little child, I've always loved Japanese culture. I've loved everything about them, especially like their clothes, the kimonos, and the kimonos that they wear during the festivals, such as the sakura blossom festivals, when the trees bloom out. And when they bloom, they actually fall out. All the petals fall out. But it's really beautiful because you see nothing but pink petals just floating everywhere with the wind. For some reason, the wind's always blowing. And another thing I've always loved about Japanese culture is also the paintings. And this one right here is this really beautiful one. It's flamingos, and she kind of reminds me of a flamingo. I don't know why. But there's one thing that's always stood out to me about Japanese culture, and that is anime. And that little guy right there, cute little mouse, is from an animated movie called Spirited Away. And Spirited Away is about a little girl named Chihiro. She goes through an amazing adventure trying to get her family back because she walks into a spirit world. She has to basically battle obstacles such as a really ugly witch named Baba, and she ends up meeting new friends and old friends like this dragon Haku, who's actually a person. Yeah, it's a big surprise there. This was created by a really amazing man named Hayao Miyazaki-sama. And I say Miyazaki-sama because he is a higher ranked person than me. He's directed and produced over 30 films, different animated films. And anime is basically Japanese animation. We call it anime because that's just what it's called. Other people will probably just call it cartoons, but other people like myself will say, no, it's anime. There's a difference. This man here, he's amazing. He's been my inspiration for years, ever since I was a really small kid. He's been in this industry for 6 decades, and he just recently retired. It makes me a little sad to see him go, but he's kind of getting a little old, and he retired because of his health. He's 76 years old. So, I'm an anime lover, and there's other people who are anime lovers. There are some people in this room that are anime lovers, I'm pretty sure. And we have a title, a specific title that many of us very like to be called, and that title is otaku. Otaku is basically means kind of not obsessed, but you really love Japanese culture, not specifically anime, but the culture itself. And I've always loved the Japanese culture, as I mentioned before, ever since I was a child. I grew up with anime. My family on my mom's side, they introduced it to me. My sister literally kicked me into Pokemon. If it weren't for her and everyone else, I wouldn't be the person I am today. Totoro. So I'm pretty sure there's a question in some of your minds saying, what does an otaku do? Well, see this character here? That is Ciel Phantom High from an anime called Black Butler. He's kind of a spoiled brat because he's super rich, but he's still a great person. And what some of us otakus love to do is that we love to cosplay. And cosplay means you dress up as a character that you really like, and a lot of us otakus do that, especially this guy here. He decided to try out Ciel's outfit, and he did pretty good. He was my inspiration for doing a cosplay as well, so I gave it a try one day. And I think I nailed it pretty well. I made that outfit completely out of scratch with my own clothes. I didn't buy an outfit like he did. He actually went out and bought his. I didn't. And here's a fun little fact. You see that walking stick I'm holding? Totally fake. Even the shadow's fake. Photoshop. Thank you, New Tech. I actually had to pose as if I was holding a walking stick, which I wasn't. There's another thing that us otakus love to do, and that is L.A.R.P, live action role play. LARPing is basically when you become the character in a game. You don't have to have a piece to move around the board. You're not playing a person in a video game. You are the character. You get to actually do stuff. And it's really fun because you're actually, it's kind of like physical contact. You get to have Nerf guns and swords and hammer tooth attack, and Mr. Simpson is a heavy. And I'll explain that later with another LARP. Photoshop. So earlier I mentioned Weaving Pieces. And I started that club about 2 years ago. And originally, it was pretty much just a hangout club. We talked about anime, we played a bunch of games, talked about more games, watched a ton of anime all day, every day, as much as we could. It was just really, really fun. It was a fun little club, hang out, have fun. But with the creation of this club, we had some milestones. We kind of hit some roadblocks, very similar to Yubaba from Spirited Away, just as evil. And that was qualification for ACE. And ACE is an after-school program here that's held at Manor districts. And with the after-school ACE program, you have to actually have a learning element in your club in order to be considered an ACE club. Otherwise, you're going to get shut down. And so we're thinking, uh-oh, we don't want to get shut down. What are we going to do? And so we have this big group of people who love anime, and you have a lot of gamers. And when you put them all together to come up with an idea for a learning outcome, you get creating an anime with a game to go with it. And that was probably the biggest idea that we had whenever this club started. And I put a big emphasis on the word idea. And we wanted to make something kind of similar to, Pokemon, because Pokemon has an anime. It's had an anime for about 15 years. It started about 1998, I believe. And it has games to go with it, 6 generations of games to go with each and every single season. That's a lot of seasons with over 600 episodes, I think. Yeah, lots of episodes, and it's really great. So that was kind of a goal for us. That's what we kind of wanted in the end. But, like all great things, some things are just ideas. But when we wanted to do this, we had to have a way to do it. And so at the time when I created the club, I was in Mr. Garcia's digital animation class, and we were using Anime Studio. And I was thinking, hey, why don't we use Anime Studio to create our anime? That way, we can have our anime without having to buy big-time production studio software that nobody can afford. And the school had it, so we were going to use it and create something kind of like this. That was created in Anime Studio. That was a goal for us animators and other designers, because most of the otakus are pretty good drawers, except for myself. I'm a chibi drawer, little characters with big heads and small bodies. That's the best I can draw. But that's what we wanted. That's the idea that we wanted. And for our gamers, they were programmers, basically. And before I had created the club, I took Miss Harden's class. And hers was a game creation class. And so I was thinking, why don't we use Game Maker? We can create some pretty cool games. We've got 2D platform games and maze games like Pac-Man. This one right here, I actually made in Game Maker myself. Even though it was a tutorial game, I still made it, so that counts. Close enough. So those are the ideas, everything that we had. And one day, Hamilton was saying, you guys are doing pretty good, learning the basics with 2D animation and gaming, but why don't you go bigger? Go from basic 2D to advanced 3D. And some of us were kind of iffy about it because, we haven't tried anything like this before. We haven't done something this big, something completely out of our league that we've never done. The 3D is, I will admit, it is very hard. It takes some time to do. You really need to work with it. You need to dedicate some time to it. And so what we did was that we decided to go with what he said. So instead of using Anime Studio, we wanted to upgrade to Blender, which is a 3D character modeling and animation software. And this software, what you do is that you can create little 3D models. And right here, someone created Chihiro, which is from Spirited Away. It's amazing. You can do so much with Blender. So we're thinking, yeah, this is definitely possible. We can make a cool anime with this. And our gamers, instead of using Game Maker to make a 2D platform game, seeing as we're using Blender, might as well upgrade to 3D, right? So they wanted to use Unity. And Unity is also, it's a 3D software. It's a 3D software program where you can create 3D games. And it's also used for game industries and indie gaming. Indie gaming is just basically independent gaming. So if you want to create a game, you can go and do that. And these are a few games that were made in Unity, made with Unity. And they're actually all on sale. You can actually buy these games in real life. God of Light, you can buy it on the iOS for your iPad or iPhone. Earthlock Festival of Magic is not only on iOS, but it's also on Windows. So if you have a Windows tab, you should definitely check out these games. These are some amazing games made with Unity that students can do too. And earlier, I mentioned, we wanted to create the anime. We wanted to create a game to support the anime, just like in Pokemon, and possibly have other companies come and see this game. A company that we're thinking of coming to see it would be Rooster Teeth. Because Rooster Teeth does the same thing. What they have is that they have a program that's very similar to Blender, where they have 3D models and characters, and they have an anime with this 3D. So we're just like, well, if they can do it, we should be able to do it too. But again, that was the idea. And did that idea happen? Hashtag nope, it did not. Again, so some good things end up coming kind of to an end. It just kind of got pushed aside after we watched anime, we played games, but we didn't get to the brainstorming process. So they kind of just moved to the side. So we're kind of stuck. What does one do when one has absolutely no plans, no visuals, no representations, nothing? Well, one goes to a convention. And that convention was IkiCon. And all of us really wanted to go to IkiCon. We wanted to go and cosplay. We wanted to go and show our stuff as a new tech club that was created. So what we wanted to do, we wanted to go, but in order to go to a convention, like anybody else, you have to have one thing that makes the world go around: money. How do you get money for a club? You create fundraising schemes. So what we did, it was around October, and we're thinking, well, yeah, it's October, Nightmare on 290 is coming up, so why don't we jump in on that? And Nightmare on 290, as some of you may know, it is basically when Manor New Tech High School holds a Halloween-themed festival here. And it's a way for a bunch of clubs to basically fundraise. They set up their own booths or set up something that they can earn money for their club. And originally we had 2 booths. One maybe didn't work out too well, so we had one big one, and that was our Slender-Man booth, probably the best one we had. It was amazing. I remember 2 girls, they decided to they wanted to play the Slender-Man game before they actually get the live action one for our booth, because we had a live action Slender-Man. And what Slender-Man is that you're walking around a forest at night with a flashlight. Nobody knows why though. And all you do is collect pieces of paper that have weird messages on them saying, "Leave me alone," and "Go away." And you have to collect all 8 of them. But the object of the game not only is to collect all 8 pages, but it's to survive and not look at this guy. If you look at him, you die. And you think it's not scary, but once you look at him, I guess you're kind of dying a little bit because your screen starts fading and everything, and it freaks people out. So the girls played it, but they weren't freaked out. I was like, yeah, I got this. So they go into the booth. About 30 seconds later, I hear screams, I hear cries and wails, and 30 seconds later again, they come running out. One girl's crying and she falls. And I was just thinking, I told you so. That was a little mean, but I kind of told her. So after all that, making some money, with the booths and everything, was that a success? No, it wasn't. We ended up actually Hamilton himself ended up putting some money in, but we ended up making less than what we put in. So again, not a big success. But we didn't want to give up. There's no reason to stop here. We still wanted to go to IkiCon. We're all still a club. We still want to do something. So we're thinking. We're all thinking. We've got Harrington, myself, the Sign Twins, and a bunch of other people all thinking and brainstorming. And then it hits him. He says, why don't we have something like a game night? And we're thinking, game night? What is that supposed to be? And he's like, well, we can set up a bunch of Xboxes and PlayStations and tournaments and just go all out for 6 hours while eating pizza and drinking soda. And we are just ecstatic about this, and we're all just going in the air. We're having fun. And it was a big success in a different kind of way, because we created something called Game Night. And that's held almost every other Friday. And it's really fun. Lots of people go to it. Some people in the audience probably have been to it. I myself have definitely been to it, of course. And let me tell you, really fun. And I'm probably going to be coming back next year, even if I am in college, to come down for some games. And I'm probably going to win some of these tournaments. Yeah. So when I say success in a new way, it was because we created game night. It was ours. It was something that we created as a club. It was our own thing. Because it wasn't funded by student council. It wasn't funded by a bunch of other clubs. It was ours. We created this. And we didn't get the money to go to EkiCon, but we got something way better. Because it doesn't just happen once a year. This is every 2 weeks, sometimes consecutive weeks if it's special. So, yeah, it's a really fun thing. It's something that's ours. It's our own thing in these tournaments. That one in the corner, the Marvel vs. Capcom one, I almost won that tournament if it weren't for Tommy Chung, because he beat me. I beat him in the practice round, but he beat me in the final round. I didn't know how to play it. I just kept spamming by pressing one button the entire time. I beat a lot of people, but couldn't beat Tommy. Tommy lost to Alex, so I felt better. Anyways. So with game night, that was a huge success. Everybody was happy, especially those who were still in the club, including myself and Mr. Hamji. Big success. But that wasn't the only thing that we managed to accomplish. We managed to get something else done that was completely amazing. And that's called LASS, which actually stands for Live Action Universal Gaming Hero System, version 0.4 for now. And what LASS is, it's our L.A.R.P manual. Earlier I showed you a picture of Simpson and Hammertree in some really cool positions back to back with a background game from something called Blood Dragon. Really cool game, all neon and stuff. With this L.A.R.P, it's totally amazing. It's fun. You get to become an infiltrator, which is something kind of like a rogue or a ninja. You've got special powers that come with your class. You can be a mage and have like mind control powers if you're a shaman. It's so cool and it's amazing. And then we have something called scenarios. A scenario is basically when you take all your players and you make up something for them to do. So one scenario that we had that was really, really amazing was called the Shadow Run. But the Shadow Runs that we had, one team was just the Shadow team, had to go around looking for data points. Here's an example of a data point. And with the data point, they had to take an app called Erasma. And with Erasma, if they held it up, let me put the sound on that so you can hear it. Actually, when you hold it up, a message in 3D will pop up. That's actually imagery. Stays in the corner. What goes around the world but stays in the corner? That was the last riddle of this entire Shadow Run. Oh my gosh, the Shadow team could not figure that out. What goes around the world but stays in the corner? The answer is a stamp. Because it stays in the corner of an envelope and it can go around the entire world. See? So I was on the other side of that team during the Shadow Run, and I'm in the Shadow Run. Once you figure out this last one, which we actually just gave them the answer to because it took them too long to figure it out. So they get to the lab, and what you're supposed to do is supposed to take the heart of the experimental specimen out. But once you take the heart off, or try to take the heart off, he comes to life. And when I say he comes to life, I mean he turns into the OP character that you probably can never beat. He's worse than Legend of Zelda bosses. I mean, worse. And so with the boss, it was Troy Don. He had basically all the power-ups that he wanted, all the weapons he wanted. He's pretty much the character that's almost impossible to beat. But with the Shadow team, there is 6 people on the Shadow team, so you would think that they'd be able to take out one character. All you have to do is shoot him 3 times with a Nerf dart. Wow, and they failed on that one. So the rest of us who were in the closet, because after you beat the specimen, the experimental specimen, the rest of us are supposed to pop out of the closet and completely ambush the others and totally kill them all. Well, seeing as they kind of failed to do that, we were stuck in the closet for an entire hour, freezing in that closet. And then we decided, you know what, forget this. When we walk out the closet, we're just like, you guys are horrible at this. So that was a test run, but it was actually kind of good for a test run. Kind of, maybe. Okay, maybe. But the fact that we created this L.A.R.P with all these rules and everything with only 13 pages compared to other L.A.R.Ps which are over 100, it was an amazing success for us. it was something that was really dear to all of the members, the true members, and including Mr. Hamilton. And I can't say anything more than just thank yous. Amazing thing. And when I think about this entire process of senior project, because originally I was going to do a documentary over We Move Leases, but I realized there wasn't much to document because we didn't have a whole lot, because a lot of our members kept kind of leaving and disappearing over the months as We Move Leases kept going on, and we had a lot of failures and other milestones that kept hitting us. But I realized that it wasn't really everyone else's fault. I kept blaming everybody, which was a dumb thing. It wasn't their fault, it was kind of my own. I kept pushing my own dreams, my own wants on everybody else. And I kind of wanted to apologize to them for that. I realized that you can't make someone else see the dreams that you want. The only thing you can do is talk to them about it, see what they want to do, and maybe come to a consensus. Not just say, do this, do this, do that. It's better to talk to them. And I didn't do that, and that was a dumb idea. But with this club, I know that this club was my real senior project. The development of everything and the development of myself, because throughout the entire 2 years that this club was activated, I wasn't a dedicated member as I should have been. The Sign twins, Nate and Chris, they were way bigger, more dedicated to the club than I was, and I was the creator of it. It kind of hurt because I wanted to do more, and I should have done more, but I didn't. I kind of got lazy. I became a ghost in my own club. I just really wish I could have done more for my own club. I wish I could have been there with my friends. And I wouldn't even just say my friends. I would actually call all these people and all the more. These guys are my family. And I'm proud to leave this club with them. And I'm actually going to miss them big time. But I'm going to be coming back, a few times. Gonna, beat you guys at Capcom versus Marvel. Yeah, I see you, Tommy. I'm gonna come back, but this is a legacy that I want to leave with them. And I also still just want to keep saying thank you, and thanks for, being by my side and not giving up on the club and giving up on me. And I just love my family because of this.